Welcome to Fairy Sleep Audiobook. Tonight we invite you to enter a world of whispers, shadows, and the restless dead. The Graveyard Curse is a chilling horror story told across 12 haunting chapters. Follow a group of young explorers who uncover a forgotten graveyard, awaken a vengeful spirit, and struggle to escape the fate written in blood. This is not just a ghost story. It is a tale of betrayal, memory, and the price of being forgotten. Turn off the lights, put on your headphones, and let the darkness speak. Now, the curse begins. It was late October when a group of 4 friends, Min, Dung, Trang, and Lin, set off for an old village in the northern mountains of Vietnam. Their goal was to film a documentary about forgotten rituals and ghostly folklore for their online channel, Mystic Explorers. A villager named Mr. Bin, whom Trang had contacted beforehand, agreed to host them and guide them through the area. The journey took nearly a day. The village was hidden among misty hills and thick pine forests. As they arrived, the sky was already dimming, and a cold wind howled through the trees. Mr. Bin, a thin, wrinkled man in his 70s, greeted them at the gate of his old wooden house. "You should not wander after sunset," he warned with a serious look, "especially not near the eastern hills. That's where the old graveyard lies." The group exchanged nervous glances but chuckled politely. Ghost stories were expected in villages like these. "Don't worry, Uncle. We're just here for a few shots and maybe a campfire story," Dung said lightheartedly. But Mr. Bin didn't smile. Many who've joked about that place never laughed again. That night, the 4 friends set up their gear, charged batteries, and reviewed their filming schedule. The room they stayed in was quiet, with wooden walls and old family portraits that seemed to watch over them. At around 1:30 a.m., Lynn suddenly sat up in bed. Her eyes were open, but she didn't speak. Silently, she got up, opened the door, and walked outside barefoot. Trang, sharing the bed with her, woke up just in time to see her disappear into the cold night. "Lynn!" she screamed. The others jumped up. Grabbing flashlights, they ran out into the misty darkness. The beams of light bounced across trees, bamboo groves, and a narrow dirt trail. They found Lynn standing near the edge of the village, facing the forest. Her lips moved, whispering something unintelligible. "Lynn, what are you doing?" Dung shouted, shaking her shoulders. Lynn blinked and finally looked at them, confused. I heard someone calling my name. A woman. She said she was cold and lonely." The group returned to the house, shaken. Mr. Bin was waiting on the porch. "The graveyard calls to those with sensitive souls," he murmured. "Don't let it find a way in." The next morning, curiosity overcame fear. Despite Mr. Bin's warnings, the group decided to explore the eastern hills. With cameras and audio recorders in hand, they followed a faint trail through the mist-covered forest. After nearly half an hour, they stumbled upon a rusted, half-collapsed gate. Behind it lay the old graveyard. Time had swallowed the place. Stone graves tilted awkwardly under the weight of ivy and moss. Cracked headstones bore names that were no longer remembered. An eerie silence pressed against them, broken only by the wind weaving through dry grass. Trung noticed a tree growing at the center, an ancient bodhi tree with a broken branch, just like the one described in an old tale she had read online. "This must be it," she whispered. Suddenly, Dung slipped and fell into a shallow ditch. As they helped him up, they noticed what looked like a collapsed burial chamber beneath him. The soil was cracked and fragile. "This was sealed a long time ago," Min muttered. Something about the place felt wrong. A chill wrapped around them despite the sun above. Trang, gripping her notebook, marked the spot. They returned to the village before sundown, each with a silent understanding. They had awakened something. That evening, Trang couldn't sleep. Her mind kept returning to the tree and the cracked ground. She got up to review some of their footage, but instead, her eyes landed on a drawer in the corner of the guest room. She opened it out of instinct, and to her surprise, found a dusty, fragile book. It was a diary. Most pages were faded and brittle, but one was stuck to another, glued together by something reddish-brown. She peeled them apart carefully. On the blood-stained page was a scrawl of shaky handwriting. They buried her alive. She screamed for hours beneath the ground. The ritual was never completed. Her soul was not sealed, only enraged. Beneath that, in a different pen and much newer ink, another message. The entrance is behind the broken bodhi tree. Take 13 steps north. You'll find the sealed chamber, where she waits. Trang's hands trembled. She called the others and showed them the diary. This isn't just folklore, she said. Someone was trapped. Someone still wants out. The following night brought no peace. The air in Mr. Bin's house turned cold. Lights flickered even though there was no wind. As the group gathered around the laptop to review the day's footage, Lynn froze mid-sentence. "Did you see that?" she whispered. They rewound the video. For a split second, a pale face appeared in the background, pressed against the window of the abandoned grave they had filmed. Hollow eyes, a mouth stretched wide open as if screaming in silence. It wasn't one of them. The camera angle made that impossible. Min laughed nervously. Must be lens flare or a bug. But when night fully fell, the same face appeared at their own window. Trang screamed. Dung rushed to the window, but no one was there. Only fog. A whisper carried through the air. Trang, then Dung. Each name called gently, like a mother soothing a child. But the sound came from every direction, impossible to trace. They didn't sleep that night. At sunrise, they decided to confront Mr. Bin. He didn't seem surprised by their story. "I told you not to go there," he said grimly. "She knows you now. Once she speaks your name, it's already begun." "Who is she?" Lynn asked. Mr. Bin led them to the back of his house, where an old man sat carving wood. His eyes were clouded, but his hands were steady. "This is Hai, the last surviving grave digger from the old village," Mr. Bin said. "He saw what happened 40 years ago." Hai didn't look up. He just spoke, slowly. "They said she was cursed. She knew dark magic. They feared her. One night the elders came with ropes and incense. They held a ritual, sealed her underground in the eastern graveyard. But they did it wrong. She didn't die clean. Her soul got stuck." He looked up with empty eyes. "She doesn't forgive. She doesn't forget. And now you've stepped on her grave." The group sat in silence. Then Hai added one more thing. "Each night, she takes a little more of you. Your warmth, your voice, your face." "And if we don't stop her?" Trang asked, her voice barely a whisper. "Then by the 12th night, no one will remember you ever existed." They couldn't leave. Every time they packed up, something went wrong. Car wouldn't start, the roads were blocked by fallen trees, or thick fog blinded the path. It was as if the village itself wouldn't let them go. Desperate for answers, they sought out an old woman named Granny Fong, who lived at the edge of the village. She had once been a medium and was said to have survived the wrath. Her eyes widened when she saw Trang holding the diary. "You found her words," she murmured. then she has already touched you. Granny Puang brewed a bitter-smelling tea and told them what had happened decades ago. There was a girl named Mai. She was beautiful, too beautiful. Men fought for her, women cursed her, but Mai was no witch, only misunderstood. They accused her of seducing the village head's son and cursed her with dark magic. The elders feared scandal and shame, so they offered her to the mountain spirits. But the ritual wasn't sacred, it was murder. She screamed until the earth swallowed her. Granny Phuong looked at them with a haunted expression. She still screams. I hear it in my dreams. Trang asked quietly, is there a way to end it? Granny Phuong nodded slowly. The seal must be completed. Her soul must be guided, not feared. But that path, it demands a price. That night, Dung went missing. He had stepped out to get fresh air while the others reviewed footage inside. After 30 minutes, they realized he hadn't returned. They searched the area, calling his name, but the forest swallowed their voices. Then Min remembered. Dung had the body camera on. Frantically, they checked the synced footage. The video showed Dung walking into the woods, calmly at first. Then the whispers returned. Come closer, just a little closer. His breathing quickened. He began to run, not away, but deeper in. The final frame was chilling. Dung stood before the cracked grave beneath the bodhi tree. His eyes were blank. A pale hand, rotting and clawed, reached up from the dirt and touched his ankle. The video cut out. Trang dropped the laptop. Lin screamed. Min backed away, trembling. They ran to the site, but all they found was Dung's shoe. Beside it, the soil was freshly disturbed, as if someone had just been buried. The next morning was filled with dread. Only 3 of them remained, Trang, Lin, and Min. Fear gnawed at their minds, but they knew they couldn't leave Dung behind. Not like this. Trang returned to the blood-stained diary and read the directions again. The entrance is behind the broken bodhi tree. Take 13 steps north. You'll find the sealed chamber, where she waits. Equipped with flashlights, ropes, and incense sticks from Granny Phuong, they returned to the graveyard. The air was colder than before, and the bodhi tree seemed even more twisted. Trang counted the steps aloud. 1, 2, 13. There it was, a slab of stone, half covered in moss and vines. With effort, they pried it open, revealing a narrow stairwell descending into darkness. The air that wafted up was foul, like rot and wet earth. As they stepped down, their flashlight beams trembled on the damp stone walls. Strange symbols lined the corridor. At the end stood an old altar, half collapsed but unmistakably used in ancient rituals. And at the center, an unmarked sarcophagus. Trang knelt and placed the incense. Lin read aloud a chant that Granny Phuong had given them. Something ancient, meant to call peace to angry spirits. For a moment the chamber was still. Then a low moan echoed through the tunnel. The moment Lin finished the chant, the ground beneath them trembled. Cracks spidered along the walls. The air turned ice cold. Their flashlights flickered, then went out entirely. A voice filled the chamber. Not a whisper this time, but a shriek of rage and grief. You stole my life. You buried me breathing. You let them forget me. A gust of wind hurled Min against the wall. Blood ran from his forehead. Trang, shaking, stepped forward. We know what they did to you, Mai. It wasn't right, but let us help you move on. The lid of the sarcophagus began to shift. Fingers, skeletal and drenched in centuries of decay, curled over the edge. Lin cried out in terror. The ghost of Mai rose, not just a figure, but a storm of hair, blood, and grief. Her face was twisted with sorrow and rage, her eyes black pits of pain. "You wear their faces, their voices, you are them." "No," Trang cried. "We are not the ones who wronged you." She held up the diary. Mai froze. Her expression softened for a moment. The diary, her words, still existed. Someone had heard her, remembered her, but the rage was too deep. She reached forward. Min lit the final incense stick with a shaking hand and threw it into the sarcophagus. There was a scream that split the air. The light exploded into a blinding flash, then silence. And so, the grave was sealed. But some stories never truly end. They live on in the wind, in the silence after midnight, in the names we dare not forget. Thank you for listening to The Graveyard Curse. If you enjoyed this tale, don't forget to support us. Like the video, subscribe to Fairy Sleep Audiobook. Share it with someone who loves a good ghost story. Every listen, every share, helps us bring more eerie stories to life. Good night, and sleep well, if you can.